Hi, I'm Ariel. You're watching She Wants the Diction, and today I'm going to be talking about why I failed the middle grade magic readathon. Because I failed hard. I only read 2 books for this readathon, which is just pitiful. And it wasn't even like a 1-week readathon. It was like basically 2 weeks, so even worse. And I got super excited. Like, if you guys follow me on Instagram, you saw that I like posted all the books that I got from the library. I was so excited for this readathon, okay? And I mean, I kind of know what happened, and I guess I'm going to talk about the 2 books that I did read and kind of explain why I lost momentum and just lost interest pretty much completely. First, I read a book called Blended by Sharon M. Draper, and I will insert a picture of what the cover looks like because the cover is one of the main reasons that I got it. It's a beautiful cover, and I was excited because as a kid growing up, I can't remember a single book that I read where there was a protagonist that was mixed. And then I actually got to the book and it was not fun. Okay, so I'll explain a little bit about what it's about very briefly. There's an 11-year-old girl. Her parents are getting divorced. Her mom is white. Her dad is black. Her dad is pretty affluent. He's a lawyer. Her mom is not so much. She's a server at Waffle House. The book is her switching back and forth between her mom's week and then her dad's week because they have like shared custody of her or whatever. So she's going through that. She's also learning the piano, which there's some obvious things, like metaphors you can draw there with like the black and white keys, which I kind of hate it, but you know what, whatever. But anyways, so she's learning piano. I feel like black kids are encouraged to do sports and rap. And those are kind of seen as the only 2 things that you can do with any kind of talent. So the fact that she's learning how to play classical piano, I feel like is great. Like that's breaking stereotypes right there, even if it is kind of corny. Her mom and her dad both have, you know, people that they're dating. They're both end up kind of getting engaged / married at the same times. And I'm just like, what is the likelihood of both parents getting married at the same exact points in their life? Like, I don't know, just like super unrealistic to me. So that's like the basic plot of it. There is some things that I did like about it. Like, for example, when she's supposed to fill out this form for school and ask her what ethnicity she is, she doesn't know what to put. And so she's kind of like, hey, am I black or white? And then her dad's just kind of like, yes. You're both. So like I really liked that part because I hate those freaking things. Like, same. I never knew what to pick. Like, what do they want from me? And eventually I realized they just want you to pick black, but it's kind of like you feel like not really a person if you pick other. Like, what is other? And there's like not really a category for you. So it's like, fuck me. And then there's a part where like her and her friend get followed through a store because apparently because they're black, they look like they're gonna steal something. Like, I feel like that's real life shit. And like, there's microaggressions. Like, for example, somebody says, oh, you're so beautiful, you look so exotic, blah, blah, blah. Like, that shit is all super, super real. I feel like the book starts going downhill when there is a noose found in a black kid's locker at her school. And then the next thing that happens is that she's on her way to her piano recital that she's been working towards this whole book. And the dude that's with her, who's a little bit older, they get stopped by the police saying, you could have robbed this bank. We have a suspect that's running around and we think you look like him. So basically they like tackle him to the ground. When she goes to reach for her cell phone, they end up shooting her in the arm. So that's a real thing that can happen. I'm not arguing that at all. But my problem with it is the way that the author didn't like follow up with any kind of, this is why this happens, or maybe here's some ways that you can interact with cops better, or just any type of advice. Because I feel like if you're a kid reading this, like, you're a black kid, you're gonna be like terrified that someone's gonna shoot you. She didn't have any sort of commentary to add on to that. It's like they both survive and they're kind of like, dang, that was scary. I'm glad nothing worse happened. I don't know. I just feel like there needed to be more commentary there. Like, any kind of commentary about police brutality, because you've got fucking kids reading this. I kind of knew from the beginning of the book that I wasn't probably going to like it because her dad said some shit like, when I married your mom, I didn't really see color, blah, blah, blah. I hate that. One of my Blackathon videos where I reviewed The Color of Water, I talked about how saying you don't see color is like just a bullshit white person phrase. Like, you do see color, everyone sees color. Like, saying you don't, the point is not to pretend you see everyone as the same color or no color. Like, you're not helping by ignoring the fact that someone's black you just shouldn't be treating them differently. And saying it doesn't matter, like, I don't see your color, that's also saying I don't acknowledge where you come from. I don't acknowledge who you are. I don't acknowledge your background. So it's also awful. Like, you think you're being all progressive and helpful, but you're really not, because you're just saying, I don't see you. I dismiss you. I don't fully see you as who you are. It's like, you can fully see a person and see a person's color and not treat them wrongly or differently because of that. That's not the solution to racism, is pretending you don't see color, or we're all one color, or we're all the same human race. It's so much bullshit, and I'm honestly surprised, because obviously this is written by a Black author, and I was like, some of these things I really like, and I see what she was doing with it, and it's great. And then on the other hand, I'm like, what the fuck? It's like you've absorbed these kind of white ideas about how to combat racism. Like, I don't know how to say it any better. So on the one hand, I'm like, damn, like, seeing someone struggling, I don't even know if they still have those forms that you fill out for school, but seeing someone struggling with what to put for that, or not knowing whether they're Black or white, or what the deal is, like, totally get that. But on the other hand, like, you can't just bring up police brutality and then not fully address it. Like, even if it is a kid's book, you have to say something. I'm sorry, that's just how I feel. This book got me really, like, upset, you know? Like, it was not the enjoyable experience that I thought it was gonna be. Obviously, reading middle grade, I didn't expect the stories to be as complex, but it's kind of droning because all the sentences are, like, really short. This book in particular had, like, some childish phrases where she would be like, oh gee, oh golly gosh, or just stupid shit like that constantly, and I was just kind of like, this is so grating. I mean, I know I'm not the audience, like, I get it, but when you compare it to the other book that I read, which is called Lightland by H.L. McCutchen, and this is, like, a book that I read as a kid. I want to say, like, maybe, like, 12 or 13 when I read this. But compare it to a book that I read around, like, that same kind of age group level, and the differences in writing were just night and day. Like, I feel like Blended was written so childishly, and this was, like, there were words in here that I still had to look up. Like, you could understand them from context, but, like, I didn't fully understand what they meant. Like, this book does not condescend at all, and I really appreciate that. It's kind of a nonsense fantasy. Like, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But I think what I liked about this at the time was that there's these two characters, they're best friends, it's a boy and a girl, it's Lottie and Lewis. I just remember, like, really liking the characters, okay, because Lottie basically doesn't want to go to school and kind of, like, fights her dad about it because she thinks she already knows everything. And then, like, since she's forced to go to school, she wears these pajamas. She wears pajamas every day until she just, like, gets known for wearing pajamas, and, like, no one says anything about it. It's just, like, that's pajama girl. So, like, I love that. And then also Lewis, I remember being so jealous because it's like he can sleep with his eyes open, which is was super weird, but I'm just like, he just goes through his day like people think he's awake because he can, like, instantly wake up and, like, respond to whatever they said because he can, like, still hear what's going on. But I was always like, damn, I'm so jealous. I wish I could sleep and then be able to just, like, wake up and just talk whenever I needed to. Like what kind of kid was I thinking this shit? But so I just love the characters, and also her dad was super chill. He was always like, they literally have this house with a bunch of different rooms in it that they would use for different stuff. Like, one room had all, like, leaves. They just, like, collected leaves and then, like, I don't know, collaged them all over it. And then another room, like, the room actually spun and shit. I don't know, it was just super cool. She has this box her dad built for her. She was supposed to keep memories in it, but then she kind of basically said, oh, I'm never going to forget all my memories of my mom, because I guess her mom died. She's like, I'm never going to forget all that shit. And then one day at school, she's asked to write this essay of everything that she knows. And she's like, oh shit, I forgot everything. I've been so busy learning this shit at school that I can't remember anything that's actually important. So she, like, freaks out, and her dad's like, no, it's cool, just take the box and you'll see. So, like, she falls asleep and then, like, falls into it and goes to this whole other fantasy world. And it's kind of nonsensical, I'm not gonna lie, but just really strong characters. Like, there's a fucking talking mouse in this who's, like, the sweetest person in the world. I mean, I guess sweetest mouse in the world. I don't know what you want me to say there. But just, like, there's just great characters. Like, her teacher can read minds and basically, like, sees through all her bullshit. And I don't know, as a kid, I guess I just thought that was amazing because I feel like I wanted to be challenged, like, also in school. And I kind of thought that school was just easy and kind of dumb. And I don't know, like, I just liked a lot of things about it. Like, these characters are so weird, like, these two characters. And also, like, having a boy and girl be best friends. I feel like I got teased a lot for having, like, guy friends when I was really, really young. Like, people would make fun of me and say we were, like, making out and shit and cooties, blah, blah, blah. Like, people were childish. So, like, there's a lot that I liked in here, even though it's kind of like doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's kind of fantasy in general. I feel like I really like this book and the other one not so much. And so from there, I mean, I had this whole other stack of books. One of the things was to try to read something out of your favorite genre. So I got these two, which is The Wild Robot, which is basically a robot wakes up on this island and it's kind of like, why the fuck am I here? And then this other one, See You in the Cosmos, is about a boy that kind of wants to like sort of build a capsule to send into space. Kind of like how on space missions or like with satellites or whatever, they'll send like human voice waves or voice prints or like examples of our language and stuff like that. So he's kind of like wanting to do that on his own. I actually did start this one. It's Love, Sugar, Magic, the first one in the series. And that's because Priscilla and Yvette both said that this was really good, and so I was like super excited to look at it. It's basically this Latina girl, her parents own a bakery, and she finds out that they're brujas or witches, and then kind of wants to be initiated. So I started this, but I'm just like, it's not really holding my attention, because again, I feel like kids book, simplified plot. One of the things I was liking in here is that even though she's Latina, she's one of the younger kids, so she didn't learn a whole lot of Spanish or didn't grow up surrounded by it, so she doesn't speak a whole lot of Spanish. So kind of her parents are all speaking Spanish and all her older siblings, but she can't really understand them, so not only she feels left out because of that, but then also now she's finding out they're witches too, so she's like, shit, I'm really just like the outcast of the family or whatever. So I don't know, man. I just got burnt out on the kids books. Like after Blended, I was like, I don't even want to read anything else if it's all gonna like be this crappy and like short and boring. Like the stories just aren't complex enough, which I get. I'm not a kid, so yeah, shit. I did so bad. I was all excited because I was like, I read YA, why not read middle grade? I think I like YA because it's like, it doesn't require as much brain power. Like it's simpler, but it's not too boring. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a good balance of just something kind of mindless to like relax you. You don't have to concentrate as hard in adult novels. And it also feels like adult novels try really hard sometimes, where like the language is so, like you can tell they're trying to impress you. They're trying to win awards. They're trying to do all this shit instead of just writing. And I like that YA is just usually pretty straightforward, like pretty accessible. Like they're not overly trying to impress you, because if you're reading it, you're probably a teenager. Like, and I don't know, I just like that. It's relaxing. This video is way too long. Fuck me. How can so many words come out of my mouth hole? I'm gonna go. Christ, that is enough talking from me. If you guys did the middle grade readathon, how did it go? Did you read more than 2 books? Because, I mean, that's a pretty low bar. Like, I guarantee you beat me. Peace.